Hello guys, welcome to another session. So here we will be discussing the answer writing for Indian society. So we have already done with the essay and we discussed the 10 approaches. So if you have not seen that, you can go through that. And then we discussed about history and then we looked at geography. So if you look at paper 1, we have history, we have geography and then Indian society. So here in this video, we will be focusing on this part, something like most of the aspirants ignore by considering this as very simple. But some of you will spend a lot of time also, but you will not be able to do good in this paper. So let's look at this paper and we'll see the significance and how we are going to solve these questions, in a most effective manner is what we are going to discuss in this session. So let's start with this. In fact, I have listed down around 40 points which has came to my mind with respect to this particular topic, and this session is all about discussion of that 40 points, and I'll try to complete this in 25 to 30 minutes. Okay, so that's the agenda of this session. So let me start with this. See, the problem is most of the students keep reading the content, right? But that's not enough when it comes to GS-1 Society. What we need is mostly the application of whatever you have seen, whatever you have read, the case studies, the examples. So you just read, that doesn't matter. If you cannot apply what you have read, then that is not going to fetch any mark, and that's actually useless. Okay, so that is one thing which I want to discuss. And then when you are writing the answer, it should be matching the UPSC level demand. So it's not just about general understanding. Even you might have heard this, that GS paper 1, where when you're talking about Indian society, you don't want to go too technical and you may go for general understanding. So that won't be enough. You need to take that to UPSC standard, and I'll tell you what are the keywords that you can use to take that to that level which is actually expected, which shows some kind of expertise in that subject from your side. Okay, because Indian society is something which is very important, you can't just ignore. So some keywords need to be used and you have to show, something very specific and, expertise in that area also. Whether you are a sociology student or not, but you will have to clearly make them understand you have a very good knowledge and awareness about Indian society and the related topics. Okay, that's very important when it comes to this area. This is what mostly people are ignoring. They think that marriage, family, problem of age, problem of women, all these issues are very general and commonsensical, and you can just write general answers with a general understanding. Let me tell you, that is not going to work out. Okay, so the questions now, if you these days, if you see, almost all these common areas are exhausted. Now you are getting unpredictable questions and mostly interlinked, caste and marriage interlinked, caste and family interlinked, women, caste, old age interlinked. So these are interlinked, and multi-dimensional treatment is what actually required. So you will have to take one dimension and you need to answer that. You may need to answer in different parts also. So you need to have that kind of understanding. For example, nowadays when we talk about women, right, rich women, poor women, who face more problem? Poor women. The urban women, rural women, who face more problem? Rural women. So then there is a, interlink, right? Poor, rural women. Then you talk about old women, young women. So poor, old, rural women face more problem. And then you talk about multiple dimension, upper caste and lower caste. Poor, old, age, lower caste women face more problem than rich, young, upper class, like that. So again, apart from caste, you will get another dimension, class. So all these is what I mean by multi-dimensionality when it comes to Indian society, because the common areas are now exhausted and they demand more clarity, more specific understanding in the present day. Okay, so the approach should be, you don't want to read too much, but you need to have a clear understanding. So study less, have a clear idea and revise more. And what we need is the application, the case studies, the examples, the multi-dimensional pattern that you have to bring in. So if you need to bring that patterns, then you need to, the moment I read something, that what should come to my mind is where I can apply this. So that's how it should be. Okay, so you need to apply it better. Again, there's something which I have seen, over reliance on mock. The point is, see, when it comes to mains, it's not like interview or prelims. In prelims, I may tell you, you take 50 mock and 100 mock. The more you take, the better it is for the time management and everything. Interview also, that will be the case, same case. if you are afraid of facing the board, and that fear will be lost and other things will be there. But when it comes to mains, too much of opinions and too much of taking mocks won't be good. You can start writing the answer your side. Keep your mock test as minimum as possible. Whatever as per the requirement you take it. Don't take it too much. Don't get too much of opinions. You know a topic, you should be in a position to write it in a proper way. Okay, so enroll 1 or 2 test series, the maximum. It's not that you keep on writing so much of test and wasting time. That's not required. Too much of opinions will only hinder, and you will lose that confidence also. Okay, so that's another point which I want to discuss. Now let's come to the answer writing philosophy. Many are thinking that you should not be, or you should stay away from using technical words, but that's not the case. When you use technical words, the thing is that you are telling the examiner that I have some expertise in this area, and I'm telling the examiner that I know this subject and I'm an expert in this subject. So you should not shy away from writing technical answers, even in GS. Okay, and then especially when it comes to society answers, you can enrich your answer if you have some very good if you are sociology optional, you can enrich your knowledge. Otherwise also you can learn these keywords, you can learn couple of important theories which is there in sociology, and anyway you are getting 5 questions, right? So it's worth it. You can learn it, because how much time you are spending for history where you are getting another 5 questions, how much time you are spending in geography also. So you can spend equal time. If not equal, at least 1/3 of that you can spend here, and you can learn couple of important theories like at least the Indian society, Indian thinkers like MN Srinivas, GS have an understanding about that, what is Indology, what they are talking about. So if you have an understanding, then if you get that keywords and if you get some key perspectives which you can apply here, whether you are a sociology student or otherwise also. Okay, so that's something which is very important. Again, you need to maintain that technical depth in your answers. If you can maintain that technical depth, and if you need to have that, you need to have an idea about the thinkers, perspectives, and different dimensions. So go with the keywords, sociology keywords also, and across the subject. It's not only for society. Across the subject you can follow same, that technical depth which you can maintain in your history answers also, that anyway you have very good knowledge, because right from your preparation, when you're starting with history mostly and geography. So you don't have any problem with the technical depth when it comes to history or geography. Maybe you will have some problem with respect to world history, but otherwise I don't think that you have any problem with respect to history and geography. So you can and you need to maintain that technical depth when it comes to society also. Otherwise you will feel a big difference when it comes to your history, geography answers and society answers. So you need to maintain that. For that you have to have a very clear idea. You need to spend some time for Indian society, and it's worth it. Let me tell you, it's worth it. If you spend your time in understanding some of the perspectives, some of the thinkers, reading Ram Mahuja, right, and MN Srinivas perspective, etc., that is going to help you. Okay, so this is what I'm telling you. All the subject you try to maintain that technical depth. Some of you might be strong in history. So just because you are strong in history, when the examiners start reading history and then when he come down to geography and society, he should not feel that you are weak in this area. So that will definitely affect your score also. So equal technical depth is what you need to maintain. So you need to have good preparation here also. It's not something like you can leave as it is. You need to give importance, okay? Now, you need to go for this one, application focused learning, as I've already discussed with. See, these are 2 papers, society and ethics. These are the 2 GS papers where application based learning is very critical. So whatever, materials, that you are reading, it doesn't matter if you are not studying with an intention to apply what you are reading. So you are reading something related to marriage, if you are reading something related to, green revolution. So even if I'm talking about green revolution, we talk about, this can be asked in economy, because that is something which increased productivity, profitability, and we became self-sufficient when it comes to food matters. But at the same time, what are the societal impact on this? So that you need to have an in-depth understanding, application level understanding, how rural to rural migration have started, how non-green revolution to green revolution migration have started. From non-green revolution area, farmers started moving to green revolution area. So how that affected the sex ratio in the source destination, source area and the destination area. So here the farmers are migrating means male farmers are going to that area. So here female population is increasing. And which was the area, right? Green Revolution maximum, Punjab, Haryana. So male population migrated to that area. So male population have increased there. So what could be one of the reason for skewed sex ratio in Punjab and Haryana? It could be Green Revolution. So this is another perspective. So if you can bring in these dimensions, that's how your answer will be different from others. That's what I mean by that technical depth and the perspective that you will be adding. Okay, so that's the application. So whenever you read something, you always ask, how can I use this in my answer? So if you read with that intention, when you read at that time, if you ask yourself, how this topic or this point that I have read, where and how I can answer this, and if that clarity is there, then you won't forget it also, and you will be able to apply if it is required also. So that should be the way you need to read things. Now, some of the examples if you take, 2024 there was a question on gender equality, equity and women empowerment, but if you look at it, it had a GS2 feel, but when you answer in GS paper 1, it need to be taken in Indian society standard, right? It is not, so if it is asked in GS paper 2, you should be answering in that way. It can be asked in paper 3 also, it can be asked, for example, this one, cryptocurrency. So cryptocurrency can be asked in paper 1, it can be asked in paper 2, paper 3, paper 4, essay, interview also. So how in paper 1 related to how the societal impact and other things they can ask you. Right, in paper 2, again international relation and everything that can be connected. For example, if you look at Russia, when there was a sanction on Russia, when they cannot make the payment on dollars, then what happened? They even tried to use crypto, Bitcoin, for international trade. So that dimension which can come. And if you look at the third paper, how it is affecting the economy, it can be directly connected with internal security also. And ethics, there can be questions which are directly connected with cryptocurrency and ethical dimensions. Essay also they can ask you this question. So it is not that you read something, you prepare a ready-made answer, wherever you see crypto you will be writing that. No, it is based on the context. If it is asked in paper 1, you have to write an Indian society related answer. If it is asked in paper 2, you need to write an international relation connected flavor you need to give. If it is asked in paper 3, you have to give a flavor of economy or that internal security dimension. And if it is asked in GS paper 4, then it should be written in the ethical dimension. And if it is asked in essay, all these perspectives can be brought in. So I hope you got my point regarding the particular topic, where it is asked, which paper it is asked. Based on that, you need to align your answer rather than, you know, fixing a ready-made answer and going to reproduce the same. That is not going to work out. Cool. Now, so the point is similar question. The question, the theme, the topic would be different, but the tone should be different depending upon the paper. So you cannot copy paste an answer which you prepared for GS paper 2 if it is asked in GS paper 1. Similarly, if it is asked in GS paper 2, you cannot cut copy paste an answer which is prepared for ethics. Simple as it is. Okay. Now, predictive strategy by using previous year questions. See, the thing is that it's been 13 years, so UPSC have almost exhausted direct society questions now. So now they are asking interlinked or disguised ones or multi-dimensional ones. So they bring in different perspectives and different dimensions in the same question. They ask multiple parts, and that's how they are, that's the way they can form the question. Otherwise they'll have to repeat the question. Most of the Indian society themes have already asked, right? So that difficulty is there for the examiner also. So what you can do is when you start analyzing the previous year questions, the important themes you will get. I said the questions won't repeat, but the themes will repeat. So from 2013 to 2024, you identify the recurring ideas like marriage, women, you know, religion, secularism, fundamentalism, communalism concepts, problem of age, problem of widow, problem of women. So all, tribes and all these topics are something which you can cover. Equality, equity, all those dimensions. All these are key themes which you have to prepare very well. Okay, and then identify the theme that will help you to predict the future question. So I repeat this again, they won't repeat the question as it is, but they repeat the theme. So identifying the theme will help you to predict the question for the upcoming years. So what you can do the same thing, suggest, segregate the previous year questions based on the topic, based on the themes, and extract that and try to identify the keywords related to that, memorize those keywords, try to add that keywords if the question is asked on that topic. So that will give that technical depth that I was talking about before. So how can you get that keywords for that if you are not sure about it? If you don't have that background, then go to ChatGPT or whatever source which is available, ask the keywords which are connected to this, keep that in mind, write in a book, make a page, important themes, 5 keywords, this is what I'm going to write in the answer if this particular theme is asked. Simple. 2 thinkers, 1 definition, that will be done. That give enough technical depth in your answer. Okay, so I've already mentioned that, right? So you will be preparing a list of keywords per theme, right? For example, globalization, what are the keywords which I need to write? You ask to simply use ChatGPT. When the technology is there, when you can ask, you can save time, so it gives more efficient and effective answers also. So you get 5 keywords is enough to make enough technical depth in your answer. And then these are the topics: secularism, regionalism. When we talk about regionalism, you know, interstate regionalism, intrastate regionalism, suprastate regionalism, you know, within state there will be regionalism between, you know, north and south, and then that may lead to cessation of state. And between state like Tamil Nadu, Kerala, there will be regionalism based on language, and then suprastate regionalism that is related to secession. Okay, so all these dimensions which you can bring in, then that gives that technical depth that I'm talking about. So that's what I told you. Use the AI tools, that will save your time. If you cannot, you know, you don't want to ask to anyone, you don't want to look for mentors, you don't want to search so much of books, just one click you're getting everything, all the keywords. Ask ChatGPT, what are the keywords which I can use for this topic? Write it down, and once it is asked, do the same. Okay, so extract keywords from syllabus topics, important themes, and then Indian Western thinkers for that topic. If you want to, you can add. So that is something which you can do. 1 or 2 thinkers if you can add on topics like secularism, communalism, globalizations, it will be good. Okay, and then current affairs examples also. That also you can ask to ChatGPT related secularism. Give me a couple of current affairs related topics or a couple of case studies. And then add that to your 1 pager. You always have that syllabus wise topics, 1 pager note. In that, what we need? Couple of thinkers, 5 keywords, current affairs notes, right? And the important case studies. So this will be fixed for that topic. Like if you have a 1 pager note for globalization, these are the things. For communalism, these are the things, right? Keywords, couple of thinkers, and the case studies, recent examples, current affairs. And you have to create that value added material. That's what I have discussed. Again, that you can use the technology for that. Now, see, many people shy away from using these thinkers and theories, but this, again, let me tell you, this will give you that strategic advantage, and it will make your answer look more technically strong. Okay, so the examiner will come to know that you are aware about the topic, you read about the topic, you have enough knowledge about that. So when you start quoting the thinkers, that makes it more authoritative, and you should be getting more mark. No one can deny mark when you just because you use thinker. Okay, that in fact make it more authoritative. So you have to use thinkers, especially when it comes to Indian society topics like globalization. Anthony Giddens you can use. MN Srinivas for topics like tribe, caste, class, marriage, family, you read that. Okay, you can look at KL Sharma Indian Society book, Indian Society and Structure, you get a lot of perspective. If you want to, you can go for sociological thought, Indian thinkers, you will get a lot of perspective. Or the Indian Society by Ramahuja, Social Problems by Ramahuja, all these will give you in-depth understanding. But again, don't take this, like if you read this, hardly it will take 1 or 2 days to complete all these textbooks. It's very simple. Okay, so whatever you have learned, introduce in your paper as references to make your point clear. You take that case study, you make that example, you keep or quote that thinker. And you don't want to go for full technical explanations. Okay, so use examples, use definitions, use theories. It should be brief and not too much, because the topic is asked. You should be substantiating a point. For that you will be using that. Now, of course, this is something which is very important and relevant. I already told you that current affairs need to be added. So when you're preparing a topic, let's say I'm preparing a topic, right? So what I'll be looking for is, this is my 1 pager. I always have all the topics, one pager for all the topics which is required, all the important themes. So here when it comes to globalization, I look for 5 keywords, I look for 2 thinkers, Anthony Giddens, like that, and then I look for definition of this, and then I look for some current examples, case studies. So that's how my answer, and depends on the demand of the question, I'll try to add all these. Okay, so that's what, even if it is GS1, you can include relevant schemes. If the question is asked about women empowerment, right, still you can add the schemes which is required, not necessarily it should be in GS paper 2. Surveys, case studies, economic survey data, budget data, all these, if it is required as per the demand of the question, you need to use in paper 1 also. So here I am talking specifically about GS paper 1 society questions, how to answer. Okay, now this is the point. Many people think that government schemes I focus in GS paper 2 or GS paper 3, and surveys, case studies, economic survey understanding for GS paper 3. That's not the case. You can use it here also if you have that knowledge. Depends upon the demand of the question. Don't use it random. Depends upon the demand of the question. If there is a demand, then you use that in your GS1 also in Indian society. Cool. Now, of course, if possible, try to add the international example also, though it is a question related to Indian society, but a comparison will always help. Whether it is related to education, whether it is related to women context or the aged context, you can always make a comparison. If you are talking about education, you can make a comparison, for example, Japan system and Indian system, right? So always try to make a comparison also. And one global example, like, again, that should be more useful in open-ended question, right? If they have mentioned India specific, then there is no need to go for it. If it is an open-ended question, you can bring in that area. If it is very specific, explicitly mentioned that it is Indian specific, then you don't go for it. So I hope you got that point. Okay, so you can mention it in the conclusion also, right? Like gender budgeting in Scandinavian countries as one example. As I have told you, Japan education system, if you get a question on education, like that. Now this is the answer structure mostly that you have to follow. You will be having an introduction, you will be starting with an intro where you will include a thinker, you will go for a definition, or you will start with a theory if you are aware of. If you get a topic, this is the way you will be starting with, straight away to the point, either a thinker or a definition or a theory which is related to that topic. And then you come with the body where you can write in bullet points if you have that confidence and if you have enough content that conveys more depth. That brings more depth in your answer if you can write in bullet points, more and more points if you can list down. Okay. Now proper headings, boxed, underline for clarity, and use diagrams if you can, mind maps, flow charts, table, make it attractive, make it clearly visible. Visibility part is very important when it comes to answer evaluation. So important facts, of course, these are normal things which we follow in any answers, not only for Indian society. You have to highlight the important facts that you're writing, important case studies that you're writing, important examples that you're writing, important keywords that you're writing, important thinkers you're writing, data, theories, all these need to be highlighted. Tell the examiner, look at this is one of my key point. This is something which I want to show it to you. So he have to look at that. Okay, now, again, this is one point, 3 keywords minimum you can use. More keywords will make it slightly confusing, and 3-4 keywords will be always good for the answer. That could be a balanced answer. Okay. If it is 15 marker, 4 to 5 keywords. If it is 10 marker, 3 to 4 keywords, 3 to 4 headings. Now conclusion, in the conclusion you can either go for a summary or you can go for way forward, the suggestions, right? And GS based suggestions that you need to give, not too much of specific, and then thinker based solution is also fine. Okay, so if you have written so much of points, as I told you when we discussed beginning, if you started off with bullet points, then the conclusion you can write in paragraph. So that again depends, so much of points is there, towards the end you can write in paragraph. If it is only 10 points or less than that, then you can use way forward as a separate heading, another bullet points you can write. So the point is, it should not be completely filled up with only bullet points. Intro maybe with a theory or something, and then bullet points, and towards the end conclusion should be in paragraph. But if there is not too much of bullet points in the body, then give a separate heading as a way forward, and then if you want to, you can go with bullet points if you have so much of suggestions that you are going to give. Otherwise, make it in paragraph towards end. This is one of the other confusion that students have. Of course, you need to go for diagrams. Now the question is, do I need to use world map? No, world map is not recommended unless it is specifically asked, especially related to world geography and world history related questions. So India maps, this is usable and normal. If you want to explain, for example, tribes, where they are located and all those questions, if they are asking, you can go for it. Green Revolution, this is the area. So if you need to highlight those, you can use India map, but world map, not required unless it is asked very specifically. That's not required. Okay. So this I think already I have discussed. Appropriate visual aids based on the type of questions, table for comparison. So make that table and make the proper comparison, and mind map for features if they are asking. Flowcharts you can use. So now what we need to do, this is my preparation checklist for your Indian society. Keywords I told you, very important. So you have to first look at the previous year questions from 2013 to 2025, and what you do, you understand the important areas of the themes. So once you get the themes, important themes, look for the keywords of each of these. I need at least 5 keywords, use ChatGPT. Thinkers, I need to get for that, whether it is communalism, secularism, there are a lot of studies has been done, marriage, family, kinship. You can get a couple of thinkers for each of these topics. Again, if you are not having that background, then use ChatGPT. And then a couple of important theories or the perspectives from thinkers you can get, and the recent case studies regarding that, which you can get. Okay, and then the current examples, then quotes, Indian and Western if it is required. So for this, you can use smartly the technology. Now, specific examples. See, gender related question structure. Let's say, again, if it is depending upon the mark that you need to divide into subparts and then you need to write. So break into subpart and don't just make tables. Rather, you can use subheadings for each of these parts and then complete that part. Again, some of the question might be demanding multi-dimensional approach, where you show the different dimensions under different headings. So meet the demand of the question always. That's something which we need to stress upon always when you're writing the answer. So marriage, caste, religion question. These are ready-made things. You can always use MN Srinivas, he's talking about all these, or you can use GS Gure. Okay, so you can give data, surveys on intercaste marriage, and then you need to have some idea about the basic concepts also, like what is this honor killing and everything, what are the marriage rules in India. Let's suppose we have this is 2 caste, right? Brahmin, Kshatriya. So this marriage is allowed or not? Intercaste marriage is not allowed. So what is allowed? Brahmin means marry within Brahmin. Kshatriya, marry within Kshatriya. So intra, within caste you have to marry. So intra caste allowed, intercaste not allowed. Fine. Now within caste there is something called as gotras, which is based on the concept of lineage and descent. Within Brahmins also there are different types, right? Shivites, different types is there. So what will happen here is, the rule is you should not marry within the gotra. Let's say this is gotra, or you can take it in this way also, clan, gotra or clan, which is actually, or you can take it as subcaste. So the idea is you should not marry from that. That is a rule. Why? Because mostly it will be like 5 or 6 generational depth only, and the people are connected by blood. So as per India, it is not, some states won't follow that, some regions won't follow that, especially in Tamil Nadu, you marry the blood relatives, but I'm not talking about the general rule in India when it comes to marriage. Especially this is religiously, strictly followed in North India. So inter-caste marriage is allowed, intra-caste marriage is not allowed. Inter-gotra marriage is allowed, intra-gotra marriage is not allowed. That means this is Brahmin caste, right? Assume Brahmin. Within this, subcaste is there or gotra is there. So you have to marry between gotras. You cannot marry within. Why? The people might be from 5-6 generations and you are connected by blood. So that is prohibited. So you have to marry outside the Gotra, not the blood relatives. So outside the Gotra, which is inter-Gotra, intra-caste, or inter-clan, intra-caste. You have to marry within the caste but outside Gotra. You cannot marry outside the caste, inside the caste. Marry inside the caste but marry outside the Gotra, which is subcaste within the actual caste. So many people are talking about honor killing as intercaste marriage, interreligious marriage. Yes, that is also honor killing because it is affecting the honor of one caste, and that's why the killing and everything is happening. But that's not actually the real case. That once which we hear the news from Punjab, Haryana region is related to this one. When they marry from the same Gotra, they are marrying the blood relatives, and that's where this real technical honor killing is coming. Okay, so because that is inter-Gotra marriage is what permitted, but intra-Gotra marriage happens, that's affecting the honor of the Gotra. You are marrying the blood relatives, so they will not be allowed to continue, they will be killed. That's actually the case. Let's not get into that too much depth again. So you can explain all these. Then collaboration questions, where you can break into types, right? Government NGOs, like government NGO, here collaboration question, right? And then government private, and then critically analyze what is most effective and other things. So the final thing that I want to tell you is, you see, you don't complain about low marks. If you are getting low marks, you need to understand that there is some problem. So the solution is what I have discussed here. Follow these strategies that I have discussed, and I don't think that you will be facing any problem. If you follow whatever we discussed, you will get good mark, okay? But if you follow, content only approach without strategic answer writing, you are not going to do good. Whatever we discussed is a strategic answer writing. We planned very clearly, and only thing is that you need to execute it well. So that's all what I want to discuss. So a strategic writing means what? We need the keyword rich. You need to show that technical depth. It should be proper structured with a flow and coherence and connection. And then it should be contextual. Demand of the question need to be understood, and based on that you need to write, and multidimensional answers. Okay. So that's all what I want to discuss in this session. I hope you got some value from the session, and thank you so much for attending. So guys, see you in the next video. Thank you so much for attending.